Well, to be just blunt, I was really struggling. I had tried so many things, and just before I met you, actually was being instructed by my doctor and my therapist to start taking medicine for depression.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I was just really, I was really in a dark place, and I did not want to take the medicine.
Yeah.
Something in my core just said, don't take the medicine. And I'm not saying I'm against medicine. I live alone. So I
Mhm.
was afraid to take medicine or start something like that on my own. And so I just was at a really low point and needed help.
Wow. Okay. That's
Yeah.
yeah, that a lot of people can relate to that one. It's like, it's not their fault. A lot of these, people out there, they just don't know a better way. They don't know how to address the core, and it's a shame. It's like medicine is not a permanent solution. Like who wants to live on that for life? But okay, so I can, yeah, a lot of people can will relate to that. So okay, so you're in place and you kind of felt like, I need to try something, something else, and
Something wasn't where the therapy wasn't working. Like I had been going to a therapist for probably a year and things just got worse. And so I really was looking for something for me. Therapy was looking behind,
Mhm.
right? And so I really wanted something that was going to propel me forward. I wanted to get out of that. It's a rabbit hole, actually, for me, it was. And I wanted out of that.
Right, gotcha. So do you feel like this propelled you forward?
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
going a little head here, but like I can't help
yeah,
myself. I have to say like that. Did you get the
yeah,
propulsion? Did you get the propulsion you were hoping for?
more so, more so. Yeah, was surprised actually, because I really was skeptical, right? I was
Mhm.
like, we'll throw more money at it, and I'll probably be disappointed again, but let's just try it. And then really felt better within 48 hours of the point of not feeling so out of control,
Mhm.
right? And then it just kept building and building and building. And now today, I have so much more confidence that whatever hits me, I'm ready. It's going to be fine. I can handle this.
Mhm.
And it's my responsibility. I can handle this. It's not something that is so, you're searching for other people to give you the answers. You're just wishing someone to do something. And what I found in this program with your tool is that now I get to take ownership and
Yep.
take my own power, which is
Yep.
huge. I never understood that before.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of things people have taught, like you need to love yourself and all that. It's a bunch of hoopla. It's like,
What does
what
that
the fuck does that
mean?
even mean? What does that mean? Like love myself, like, but you understand, like loving yourself is really investing in yourself. It's really believing in yourself. It's taking a risk. It's like going to Harvard. It's like, look, you and I both know if you go to Harvard, that's going to cost money. It's hard work, and there's no guarantees. But we also both know that if you do that, you're going to shift the odds in your favor. And what a true statement to the universe and all the people around you. I really do believe in myself. That's loving yourself. And I tell people when they start the program, like, if someone tells you that, like, oh, I'm having a hard time loving myself and feeling my worth, I'm like, I don't do that for you. That's not my role. You can do that right now without me. Start acting like you believe, and everything will fucking change. But at the end of the day, when you have a process, a tool, like anything that, again, going to Harvard is going to be work, so to speak. But when you have that, at the end of the day, you're the one who has to execute. You're the one who has to do the work. So I mean, and it's always going to be ultimately a workout or a process. But yeah, there was yeah, awesome. So you got the propulsion you were looking for, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
More so.
yeah, wonderful. So let me ask you, and you and I both know the answers to these already here, but so how would you say in 6 weeks? Oh, by the way, a lot of people, like you said, like in the very beginning, you were skeptical. You're like, I'm going to throw money away, but little did you know you were in the right place. So
Yeah.
so in people are going to think this is nuts until they think I'm crazy till they see that I'm not. But what did you in just 6 weeks? What changed for you? What changed for you in just 6 weeks? Something that a therapist would never ever commit to. What changed for you in just 6 weeks?
Well, something they will never commit to, which you said over and over, is the one and done. I guarantee this. And I just thought, you are nuts, but okay.
Yeah.
Really, that you're quirky, but I would say that that's really true. And once you commit to it and you do the work and you have the discipline, you immediately see, oh, there's something to this. I am thinking differently. I do see things differently. This
Mhm.
is something completely different than anything anyone else ever talked to me about. Very different.
Wonderful. how about some of those specific manifestations? What, like, have you any particular,
Oh.
and whatever you want to talk about? Is there anything? It could be people, like, maybe people noticing you're different. Like people giving you compliments. Anything that you would like to share that would be worth mentioning that changed over the 6 weeks? And it could be even small things, so things that made you feel good.
Yeah, well, the one thing that I wasn't even anticipating, because I really just wanted to feel better about my personal relationships, but all of a sudden, when you start to see things differently, and we talk about our energy, my job wasn't fulfilling. I was really starting to see issues in my job, which was, I've been at the same job for almost 20 years now. So to have the ability to look at that objectively, then all of a sudden I get a job interview, right? Someone else that I wasn't even talking to said, Claudine, we think you would be perfect for this position. And like, okay. So you go to the interview, and I showed up as a totally different human being. And I sat there giggling because I would do what you instructed right before the interview. And then this whole different thing happened, this dynamic where I just showed up as a whole different person. And that happened in week 4 of the program. So when I got off the phone with the 7th interview, I just had to giggle and go, oh my gosh, this has totally changed me. And I didn't really realize it until that moment. And then when I got the job offer and declined it, that's when it cemented in my head, I am different, because I would never have declined it in the past. It would have been like, oh, this is good. This is something I should do. I feel like I owe it to that. I don't owe. And so the program let me sit back and say, what is best for me and what I want to do. So that was a whole dynamic shift that I was not anticipating, right? I really just wanted to feel better from a bad breakup that I actually instigated, and then wanted to go back because it was unfamiliar territory. I knew it was what was right for me, but I just got really unfamiliar territory and got scared. And so now it's like, oh, I don't need a human being to validate me. I don't need anyone. I do that for myself. I don't need a job to do it. It's so liberating.
Wonderful. Beautiful. So I think I have one last really solid question, and this is going to be kind of more of a short to the point one here, but I think you'll appreciate this one. And this will be, in some ways, it'll benefit other people, will benefit you too. Another thing that people think I'm crazy when I first talk to them, I say, listen, we'll break the pattern permanently. Like, when you feel great, you speak great. When you feel great, you don't allow people into your life that just don't make you feel better. And for the first time in your life, you can actually see people truly for who they are or who they're not, which means, sure, you might have had situations in the past where it's like, wow, if only I'd known what I knew now, but you didn't see things the same way. You had that emotional fog, and that's really what creates problems for people. And then to what you just said there, it's like, well, one of the first things people do when a relationship's not going their way, not on purpose, no one's bad doing this here, but they do things that are essentially manipulation tools. I'm going to break up with them. Hopefully they'll learn their lesson, blah, blah, blah. That shit never works. I tell people all the time, it's like, you better really be careful here. Even if that manipulation tactic worked and they came back, remember, they pushed away for a reason. And that reason didn't disappear if they came back. So there's nothing fucking fixed. All you're doing is essentially dead man walking. So there's nothing fixed there. But when you break the pattern to the core, because you feel much better, and when you feel much better, you speak differently. You're like, I'm just good. You don't allow people that really aren't good for you into your life. You would never compromise. So here's my question for you. Knowing what you know now, feeling how you feel now, how do you feel about your relationships in the future? Or even more specifically, how do you feel about the idea that if someone came into your life and was maybe not the best for you, or was good for you, whatever it was, your ability to navigate those relationships in a way that'll serve you and them? How do you feel now? How confident you feel now that you'll be able to handle what comes your way in a way that'll serve all parties without having to manipulate, control, I'm going to exit, without all that fucking nonsense? How do you feel now about your ability to actually just live and let live, so to speak?
I'm actually excited to get out there and try. I'm not ready yet because I'm not physically where I want to be geographically, but I'm excited because I also think there's so much we can learn. Like, I never approached it as a learning environment.
Yeah.
And so now I have tools that I go, hey, yes, no, maybe whatever happens, I'm going to be great no matter what happens. And so I really feel like this will be a whole new level of dating at 50 years old that I've never experienced, that I didn't realize could be possible. To your point about manipulation and games, it's like, I think a lot of times we don't even know we're doing it, but we're so insecure that you're couching what you say, or you're making sure, should they text back right away, or, you're playing these games, these things that you think you're supposed to be doing, when if you can just have the confidence to be your authentic true self, to show up, how fun is that going to be? That I'm actually looking forward to it.
You should.
Yeah.
I mean,
and there's so many great human beings out there to go meet and find that are like-minded.
Yep. And we feel a lot better, and you don't have that agenda anymore, because you're like, I'm good either way, because you don't need that outcome. That allows you to be much more open. Hey, maybe make a new friend, maybe make an associate, who knows? But it just allows you to come in much more clear, like where you're good, and whether that works out or not, it's just a bonus. When things are just a bonus, it's like that's a whole different world.
And the ability to let go when it's not a good match, that like, oh, this is going to be so much easier if it's not, like, you don't go in really guarded, because if it's not meant to be, then you're okay with it. It's nothing. It's not a reflection of me. It's not a reflection of them. It's just not a good fit.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Like yesterday, our talk yesterday, it's just not going to work for me. Yeah, it's not a battle. There's no argument. There's no hard feelings. Just like, it's just not working. And that's okay. But when you come in from that position, you can't really get mad at people that do that. But when you feel like that, you can navigate your relationships that way, that's a whole different world. Rather than trying to control and manipulate and use like these false tools to try and get your way, that never works. Wonderful.
And I just want to add to, it's not even just in dating, right? I have adult boys, men that I raise. And so now there's this whole new level of communication with them that I can release and say, this is all good either way. And I can support them in a way that I wasn't really able to before. Mm-hmm. And so it's the way it affects all of your relationships is really powerful.
Wonderful. So last question, I think. This is awesome. Yeah. So if you knew somebody that was in your situation, right, where, like, things were going, you're relying on those conventional methods, and things going in a not such a good direction, and they're again, this doesn't have to be very clear. I'm not a quote unquote health practitioner, licensed health practitioner, but again, I let people's experiences speak for themselves. If you knew someone who was going through a similar situation as you, was going down that same path, and that they were being recommended certain avenues that where that's going to go ultimately, and you knew, what would you tell them as far as if, knowing what that there's a better option? And this is for anyone else who's listening to this call that is actually in a similar situation, which is happening all the time. You have a lot of these, health professionals that they just don't know better ways. They're like, oh, take this, take that. What would you tell anyone who is in that kind of place as far as there's a better way?
I would say, first of all, the fact that you're still looking, keep looking. And this tool is something that the others that cared about you, the professionals, to your point, they're doing the best they can with what they know. And so to their level of consciousness, that's what they're providing in terms of tools. But until this program, I did not have a tool, a thing to follow, something to do that I could take control of to affect the way I thought and the way I saw things. And so medication, what I was having a hard time with was, the first step was, I got told you need to feel your feelings and your emotions so that you can heal. So I started feeling the emotions, right? Yeah. But oh boy, what a storm that created. So then the guidance was, well, now we're going to give you drugs so you don't feel it as much. And that just didn't,
oh God,
didn't make any sense to me, right? Yeah. That just made no sense to me. So now I understand through this, it's like, wait a minute. Changing the way you're looking at things and the way you're thinking is the key to helping those feelings and the way you see things. So I would say to people, in your darkest moment, number one, you matter. And there are people who care and will support you. And in this particular instance, what I found was someone who had gone through something, you had gone through something, you created a tool for us to, then you can create and work on it so that you can take care of yourself instead of looking for other people to help you all the time. Because if we do that, you're always going to be at the mercy of that other person. Your help, your safety, whatever you're looking for is only going to be as good as that other person. So what I learned was the therapists and the people I was reaching out to, they loved me, they wanted to help me, but they just weren't able to help me. And so
Yep.
I kept spinning my wheels. I probably suffered for a good 6 months more than I needed to
Mhm.
versus 24, 48 hours. And then now 6 weeks later, I'm like, oh, I don't have to ever re-examine that. If I want to, I can, great, but I don't need to feel the feelings to
Yep.
fix or feel better. It's like, I know how to do this now. This is fantastic. It is so, when you're at the bottom and you just don't know what to do, you're so lost that you'll try anything. And I did, but I'm telling you, this one is different than anything else. And it's worth it. It's worth it.